Hi, this is Meg Lightheart from megalightheart.com. Today I want to move on to think about a question which I sometimes ask coaching clients and other people have asked of me, and I find it disproportionately helpful. So at the beginning of the week we were looking at timelines in a way that you can use timelines to help you to coach yourself. Yesterday we looked at empathy and different people's perspectives and how that can help you to shake your definition of an issue. And today I want us to look at patterns, because that's another thing like timelines, like empathy, that changes as people evolve their lens on complexity and mess. And the question is this: so you think about the situation that you're in, a challenge, problem, opportunity, project, something. Get quiet for a minute and then think, what does this whole thing remind me of? What does this whole thing remind me of? And there's something really broad, deep, other metaphors that comes up from taking the entire situation, kind of tuning into the feeling of it and whether it tickles your memory about something. So initially we might be talking about, it might remind you of something in this context that happened before. So if you're talking about something to do with your team and you go, what does this remind me of? And it reminds you of something that happened 6 months ago or a year ago or 2 years ago, then that can be important, because you can go, okay, why does this remind me of that? And it may be that the same thing's happening again, and that can be important. Or is it a similar time of year? Is this an annual cycle? Or is this the same thing that happened last time someone new joined the team? Or whatever. There's also something about, what does this remind me of in terms of a bigger context? Like maybe if you're inside an organisation, you're thinking, what does this remind me of as the whole organisation? You can go broader to, what does this remind me of, like the feeling, the sense of this remind me of in society? Does this seem like something else that's happening in society? Because those links can really help. And this is a bit of an intuitive process, but you're harnessing all the data that your mind has gathered about this, which allows you to have some intuition that may be helpful. You can also go a bit closer to you, but sideways, as in, what does this whole situation remind me of in my history? What does this feel like? And sometimes you can go, oh God, this just feels like when I first started learning German. And I was so frustrated with all the different bits and I could never get the verb at the end right. And or it really reminds me of when I first moved to the city and began to feel like I didn't know where I was and gradually started to find my way. So there's something around looking at the entire situation and seeing, does it remind you of something in your personal history? Then there's also something which is a bit more, much more intuitive. And you go, what does this whole situation remind me of? What does it feel like? And maybe you feel a metaphor. It's like when you're in a dream and you're trying to run and you can't run fast enough. Or it's really like there's this whole flock of birds around me and I can't focus on an individual one. Or it really feels like that moment in the middle of winter when you look out of the garden and everything seems like it's really closed. those kind of metaphors that come up, like they come up from inside you, can be really insightful. And so when you find something that it reminds you of, it's worth just pausing and working out, is that right? What aspects of this seem similar to that? It may seem like two different things, two different metaphors, remind you of two different things, lots of different things. And by looking at what this whole situation reminds you of, sometimes your next question can seem really easy. Like maybe you go, what do I wish it reminded me of? What do I wish it were like? If I'm feeling like I'm running and not going fast enough, what do I wish it were like? And being able to separate the now from what you want can also be instructive, because you can tune into the difference between those two feelings. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do, but this question seems really straightforward, and it's not necessarily a question to do just with your ordinary mental consciousness. It's maybe also something to tune into sensations in your body, or your intuition, or flashes of imagery, or it's like following a smell back into the past and going, what does this smell like? And by uncovering this, you can sometimes get a real insight into a situation. And it's something that I often ask clients once they've done a description of the whole thing, or sometimes when we've done what's happening now and where they want to go, then we kind of step out of the whole thing. And it is an element of, as we talked about earlier on in the week, of stepping onto the balcony and seeing the whole situation. So give that a go when you're self-coaching yourself and see what comes up. Tomorrow I want to talk to you about influence and power, and why it's helpful for us to distinguish what's under our strong influence, our weak influence, and outside of it, because that can be a good distinction too. Thanks for tuning in again. If you're wanting some company or support in, you don't just want a self-coach, you want to have like a coach, then go and have a look at megalightheart.com and just see if you get a vibe that we might work well together in a coaching relationship. If you have steady income and you're not really looking for a coach, but you'd like to support this kind of information going out, then go to patreon.com/megalightheart. It's just a way of supplying some steady flow and feeling like you're part of a project about evolving leaders. If you're on YouTube, click subscribe if you haven't already, so you get to know about these videos when they come up, or wherever you're watching them. Click like, leave a comment. I'm always really interested in your thoughts of what really resonated with you, or what other questions you have, and feel free to share this with other people who you think might find it useful. I am Meg Lightheart from megalightheart.com, and I'll see you in the next one.